Hi folks, Dave with DBS Tech Talk, and today I'm just going to show you the various pads that I currently use on my headphones, the reasons why I use those pads, and what other pads that I do recommend or I have tried in the past. Now pads do make a difference in various ways. They do change sound signatures sometimes. You can get more bass, a more warm sound, a little more treble, or a more balanced out sound, or muddy, or however you want to make it sound. You can kind of do it with pads, and it also depends on the quality of pad. Also, they change comfort, and that's the main reason why I use different pads, is because I don't normally care for the comfort of the original stock pad, but sometimes it is because I don't like the sound of the stock pad also. So let's start with the first pair of headphones that is behind me, and that is the Advanced Alpha. Now, the Advanced Alpha is unique in that it comes with two pairs of pads when you order them. It comes with a hybrid pad, which I currently have on, and it also comes with the leather pad. And the reason why I'm using the hybrid pad is twofold. Number one, the leather pad did break on me and pulled away from the rings, and so I have currently a warranty request in with Advanced, and they will send me a new pair of leather pads. But also, I do have the hybrid pad on for the second reason, because they sound better in my opinion. Opens up the sound stage a little bit, and balances out the sound overall, and also mitigates some of that weird wonkiness and the trouble that you can sometimes get with the Advanced Alpha. Other than that, Advanced Alpha, you're pretty much stuck with the two pads that they have that come with it, unless you get the rings out of one of the pairs of pads, and you can find a replacement pair that fit those pads, that pad ring and the headphone itself. Next up is the after the Advanced Alpha is the M1060 from Monoprice. Now, the Monoprice stock pads come and they're massively huge, super thick, and plush, nice. I mean, they're not bad, but in my opinion, they're just a smidge small on the ear, and they did squish my ears, which I do not like. And the other thing is they added a lot of treble ringing, in my opinion, and I didn't care for that sound either. And they did make them a little bit bass heavy. I have tried numerous pads on the M1060. I have tried the Brainwaves XL pad, which fits nicely, is a little bit extra large, but is really cushy and soft, and in my opinion adds a nice sound to it. Does remove a little bit of that ringing that you can get, and still saves the bass and the treble detail and clarity. You do lose a little bit of soundstage with those pads. Another pad that I have tried with them is the Hi-Fi Focus A pad, and it is a little shallow. You can sometimes feel the driver if your ear doesn't fit quite right in it, but they are soft and they are velour. You do get a little bit more bass with these, and one unique thing that you have to do is you have to cut out the tabs in order for it, so you can double stick tape it on there, and just once you remove those little click pads for that come permanent on the pad itself, you can just line these up onto your M1060 the way you want with the angle, and you get a good sound. Another pad that I have tried on there is the Brainwaves Velours. These did not fit properly, they weren't big enough. Also, I tried a pair of pads that were real cheap, made by Geekeria, and they are angled. They have the little bit extra wide end on behind the ear. I think these are made for Denons, but they were too shallow, and I don't like things touching my ears, and I could just feel the driver touching the ear again. If you add the Hi-Fi tab pads without the tab in it, it does push it out just a little bit, but they just weren't comfortable enough. The foam in them was very thin and mushy, so do not recommend those at all for any headphone that you try them on. The other pads that I did try with it, you have to put the Hi-Fi Min pad into it, ring into it. is the Hi-Fi-Man HM5s velours, and I didn't care for it. It made them way too thumpy of a bass and way too warm, and they just sounded darker than they actually are. So I have gone with the Deconi. I'll spit it out here. Deconi fenestrated pad, and this is really nice foam, very plush, very slow to respond. And my cat's about to fall off his cat tree over there. And it just, when you squish them together, it barely responds. You know, it's so slow in response. They're really comfy on the head, and they're very open sound. I mean, these make them super wide open headphone. You do lose a little bit of the bass impact, but the sound stage is there, and the treble and the mids remain the same without the ringing, which is nice. And in my opinion, this is the best that the M1060s have sounded, with the Deconi fenestrated pad on there. Next headphone is the Barodynamic Custom Studio, and the stock pad that came with that I did not care for. The velour's nice, but they're shallow, and I just didn't get. They just seem to always squish on my head really hard, made for clamping force to be a little too snug. And so I have gone with the Deconi sheepskin leather, and in these you get a little better isolation, and it adds just a smidge. Oops, helps if I have it lined up, fitted properly. Adds a little bit to the bass, makes it a little more impactful, and removes that shininess. Believe it or not, it removes the shininess of the treble just a little bit, which is interesting, because usually leather kind of accentuates treble, but on these it does not make it seem. It actually removes it just a smidge. I really love the sheepskins on the Barodynamic Custom Studios by Deconi. Very nice headphone, very nice pads. Next is the HE350s from Hi-Fi-Man, and these pads, also the stock ones, these were probably the worst pads I've ever had on a headphone, other than the Superlux 661Bs. In fact, these might be the same pads that were on there. That's how terrible these pads are. Very stiff. Have plenty of room, excuse me, as far as around the ear, but they're just so stiff. They don't move when you're just like, wow. If you get these headphones, immediately take the pads off and change them. I have tried them with the Brainwaves velour hybrids. Not bad. Do add a little bit too much bass and warmth for my taste, but they didn't sound awful. Comfort wise was definitely there. And then also there's a brand called Ablat that you can get leather pads for, with a little bit of fenestrated in, but these have the same problem as the stock pad. They're just very firm and hard to they're just a little too stiff in my opinion. So believe it or not, I had ordered the Sundara Pally pad for the M1060. Cat just fell off the cat tree. And I was going to take the pads, the tabs out like I had explained on the others, but these pads are so comfy, and because I'm using Deconis on the M1060 right now, I put the Pally pads on the HE350, and they're just wonderful. Comfortable, add nice sound stage, good bass and treble in the mids. The treble is toned out just a little bit because of the hybrid in these pads having a little bit of velour fabric. It's not really velour, whatever that material is. It's really nice. It reminds me a lot of the Advanced Alpha hybrid pad, and comfort wise is definitely there. And I recommend this. I mean, it's $50 pad for the HE350, which is a $100 headphone, but in my opinion, it's well worth it. And now the cat is using his office. So again, I do apologize. Next headphone is the Marantz Pro MPH2s. I have stuck with the stock pad on these. The stock pad's a little mushy, not the greatest foam in the world, but every pad that I have tried on these has changed the sound significantly to the point where it loses the reason for being a studio monitor. And I don't care for that. I want them to remain sounding the way that they are. So I am sticking with the stock pads. Some other pads that I recommend. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more headphone somewhere around here. Bear with me one more. Sorry, I put them away. This is the M560, and the stock pads, they were decent, fairly cushy, had this unique magnetic attachment setup, but Monoprice never offered replacement pads, which if you're going to make the pads removable, why not offer replacement pads of some sort? But anyways, they were a little small for my preference, and I didn't care for the feel of them on my head. So I went with the recommendation that came with the from Zeos, and that is the Sony XB500 pad. Mega cushy. Fit nicely onto ears. Excuse me, add a little bit of bass and to them. One weird thing that happened is the inside donut part of these headphone pads started shedding really bad, and I ended up with like black plastic shards all over my ears, and so that was really bizarre. And so I just rubbed all of that out of my pad, and now I have velour on the inside, which feels really nice, and whatever this fake leather pleather stuff is on the outside. And so I have a comfy pair of 560s when it comes to the pads. I don't know if you've had that experience on if you've tried these pads or not, but that was really bizarre. But it worked out. Sound wise, they do make them a little more bassy, but they do add a little bit of soundstage to it, and comfort wise is definitely there. And so let's get back to what I was originally going to say before I remembered that I had the 560. A couple other pads that I do have that I recommend with other stuff is the XL pad. Does work also with the rear dynamics. You have to tape it on. You can't use it because it is a little bit larger. But I found that I felt the driver because it was so big of a hole, so I didn't care for that. The Brainwave Circulars works with the Barodynamics also, but I found that it made them too dark and didn't allow them to feel, it removed too much of the treble from them. And then also the Geekery ones that I showed that have that weird ear cushion thing on it work with the Barodynamics, but they're just too thin, and you just end up with a sound that is way too much forward. And then the HM5 pad also works with the Barodynamic, but in my opinion that just didn't, it just sounded off. The mids sounded muffled and not clear, and it was way too much bass impact on them. So that's that. That's all the pads that I have that I currently use or recommend, and just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown as far as what I use and why I use it. Hopefully you find this helpful as you search to upgrade pads or make changes to headphones if you have any of the ones that I currently have. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next video. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk.